How's it, guys? Welcome to Freaky Friday Tip, and we're going to kick off our live bait series. This week, we're going to do one of the most common ways of fishing live bait on our coast, which is the non-return slides. So we're going to talk about sliding. I'm going to show you guys a trace that I use to target Garrick. So this whole episode here, the first episode on live bait fishing, is going to be around Garrick. So just the terminal tackle that you guys are going to need. Obviously your non-return slide with your solid ring with a swivel that normally comes together when you purchase your slide. Um, so I just placed this here to show you guys the difference between them. So you get your non-return slide weighted and non-weighted. Personally, when I fish live bait, I do not like to use a weighted slide, but I always like my non-weighted slide to have that little bead in there. It just allows your slide not to collapse. It'll stop it from doing that and smashing. So yeah, if you hook a better fish, it stop it from compressing over there. So for demonstration purposes, I don't have the right slide that I normally use. So I'm just going to use this for now. So when you purchase it, you normally get your slide, your ring, and then on the hooks, look guys, with hooks, the sizes differ from every brand and make and shape. I use the 8.0 in the soy size. If you're looking at the candle rounds, it'll be normally around a 6.0, around there, 5.0, 6.0 in the candle rounds. And then I think the main thing when it comes to the hooks, you guys have to judge it, whatever hook brand that you prefer. But the main thing when it comes to your hooks is a hook that's light, sharp, and strong. So if you find that, you'll be good. When sliding, you'll need a very good wire grab, preferably a thick wire grab. Unless there's no current or surge or anything, then you can go with a thinner gauge wire. But also make sure that your wires can trip very easily. Way to do that is just to flip it over, give it a little stretch like this, pull it apart, and just flick it back on. It just allows that when you get picked up, that your stinker trips. Garrick sometimes can be a little bit finicky and feel the sinker and leave it. Obviously, when it comes to the ounce of your sinker, depending what your rod allows you to throw, I generally like to stay between the 6 ounce to 7 ounce. So when the Garrick picks it up, it lifts or it trips my wire very easy. But obviously, with the sea size, if the sea is big, you'll obviously go heavier to make sure that your sinker actually holds. Okay, we're going to jump straight into the trace, and then I'm going to come back and show you guys how I do the ring connected to my main line and the reason behind it. Okay, so for your trace line, guys, it'll differ from the area you're targeting your fish. If you're on brick, obviously you'll go heavier. If you're on an open beach with no bricks, no reef, you can go lighter. I always feel that going lighter is better. It allows you to get that bite faster. Just from my experience, whenever I fish lighter, I always got the bite quicker. So for this, I'm fishing on an open beach, for example. I'm going to be fishing a 50 to 60 pound trace line. It's light, but it'll do the job. You can go up 70 to 80 pound on the Garrick. They don't mind it. Obviously, 1 mil and stuff is a bit aggressive, but anything from 60 to 80 will be perfect. Okay, so I'm going to do a knot over here. This is going to be my carrier hook. I'm going to call it my carrier hook, and this is going to be the knot I'm going to tie is a dropper loop. So basically, I'm going to insert the hook, create a big loop, as you guys can see there. So basically, all I did was that. And then I'm going to go in and around 2 times. 1, 2, as you guys can see there. And now I'm going to create a bigger loop. And I'm going to go another 2 times. 1, 2. And then I'm going to bring my hook back through the big loop that I created. And that's what it's going to cause. It's going to create like a T kind of a knot there. And that's my loop, dropper loop. So that's what we call dropper loop. So just lubricate and lock that in place. So with the fluorocarbon, you gotta have to really, really pull hard for it to set. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Okay, so when I'm targeting Garrick, I like my hooks to be very close because Garrick feeds from the head down. So I like both my hooks to be on the head. So as you do this more and more often, you'll realize your signs that you like, and obviously what live bait you're using makes a difference. I'm connecting it here with a straight figure of eight, nothing fancy there. But what I like to do here is leave a little bit longer tag in there, and then I push it back in, and that's going to create my T knot. I'm sure you guys saw that on our previous traces. Lubricate, lock, and then just going to cut off the one end there, and that's going to give me my perfect T knot or stopper knot, whatever you want to call it. Show me a little bit, and I'll show you what that does now. With lengths, obviously C size and that will change your length. Standard, I like to fish anything between a 1.5, 1.8, even up to a 2 meter, but I like the 1.8 a lot. So that's my go-to length normally. So that's my full reach is normally 1.8, and I'm just going to cut it off there. Okay, and then it's plain and simple on your slide where your swivel is, your power swivel, figure of eight. Locking that in place, make sure that you lubricated it and then lock it. Okay, so that is your slide trace done. Plain and simple, done. Okay, that's ready to go. So now that you get your solid ring here, I'm going to show you guys how I connect my sinker here. Obviously, guys, you're going to be using a lot thinner gauge line for your sinker. So if you do get stuck or the sinker does get buried, you want it to break off. So I'm just going to tie my sinker onto a bit of mono here. Anything between 0.55 around there, like 30 pound to 40 pound is ideal. And adding a knot into it also would do quite well. So I'll show you what I meant by a knot. So that's a figure of eight there. And then my sinker line is generally about that long. So this is the important part, and it's a question we get asked a lot in the shop. Which way to tie your sinker, or where do you tie your sinker? So everyone does it differently. I like my sinker to be tied on my solid ring, so that when my slide comes, it sits down. I will show you all now. It sits on that swivel and it's rotating on that swivel and not on my main line. So I'm gonna tie it down there quickly, and then you guys can see the finished. Just a normal figure of eight again. Drop the tag in, and then when I was talking about a knot, all I do here is a normal granny knot, half inch, whatever you want to call it, there. So as that tighten up, that's gonna pop. So if your sinker is stuck and if you hook on with a fish, or even while you're fighting a fish and that grabs some reef, that will just break off there. Okay, so now we're gonna act like this line here is coming out from our rod, our main line, and that's where I'm gonna tie my main line, my leader knot, my leader for my rod. Normal figure of eight there, nothing fancy. So we have the tag in. Okay, so let's see if we can get all of this in the shot. So that's what I'm gonna throw first in the water. Gonna let that to settle. That's gonna grab the sand nicely. It's gonna be stuck in there. Now let's go back to our slide and to the guys not know which way to put it on. So this is the slide trace. I'm just gonna try and make a plan to get this to stay here. Okay, so now that's in the water. With your slide, um, you want it to be facing that way when going into the ocean. So this is your sinker that's already in the water. You want your, let's call this your L shape with your swivel facing the water. And that, because it's a non-return slide, it can only go one way. So once the waves hit it, it's going to lock there. And then as soon as it goes, the waves pass, it will go back to normal and it'll allow you to go out. So basically, if you look here, you can see the opening on the slide there. You're just going to clip it on. Sorry guys, I'm doing it opposite now to what I normally do it. So it takes me a few seconds to register that. And then you just basically follow the loops. Okay, once you got the slide on, as you can see, it's on. I'm going to lock it by just pushing it back into itself. And then there's it there. So when you're sliding and you're shaking, that's going to flow down nicely. But as soon as the wave hits it, it's going to do that. It's going to lock back. So as it's going down, you're shaking, a wave comes, it'll stop it from going back, and then it'll carry on sliding. Next wave, hit it, and it'll carry on down till it gets down. So that's what we was talking about as of why I tie my slide that way. So when the bait is down, when your slide is completely down to your sinker, and when your bait is moving around, it's actually your slide is actually swiveling on the swivel and not on your main line. It's just gives more protection and stuff. So that's it there. Yeah, guys. So I'll grab a bait quickly and show you guys how to pin it. But this series here is going to go very in depth when it comes to live bait fishing. We're going to go do some old school ways of pinning and throwing live baits. We're going to do um, bridle ringing, the new styles with the circle hooks. We're going to do the nappy clips, older style of sliding, which still works very well, especially off high points. So we're going to cover a very wide range of live bait styles of fishing. Um, so stay tuned into the next episode. Okay, sorry guys, we had to get a short stop there because I forgot to bring a bait for demonstration here. So this is a mackerel scad, or what we call a mackerel scad. Um, and I'm just using it for bait demonstration to show you guys how I pin a live bait for Garrick. So whether this is going to be your shad, your moss bunker, your cara, your blacktail, or whatever, you're going to pin it same. It's going to be a lot harder that this bait is frozen. But so you got your carrier hook and your catch hook. So I'm going to start with my catch hook, sorry, and I'm going to go from the top of the fish very lightly through the skin and pulling it out, pushing it forward. Okay, it's going to tear out and stuff because this is obviously a frozen bait, but you guys get the idea there. Then on the second one, I'm going to come just lightly through the top there and come out on the other end. Okay, so that's the finished product. So let me just try and repin this one here for you guys as it came out. It's not the best to work with, but yeah. So that's basically how I would pin for a Garrick. It's not the best example as the bait we're using is not, it's not ideal. But as you can see that the T-stopper knot that we tied on there, it's not going to allow the hook to fold. Even if it goes that way or the other way, it's going to stop. But yeah, that's my way to slide a live bait for a Garrick, or pin a live bait for a Garrick. Thanks guys.